Welcome to one of the hardest things that new YouTubers and streamers have a hard time doing, and that's sitting in front of a camera and talking, including me. Welcome to PriceTag Unplugged. We have a lot to go over today in this video, so I hope you guys stick around and hear a few different things that I have to talk to you guys about on the future of my channel and where things are going from here. So let's get started. So any of you guys who've been following along my channel and watching my videos and live streams, you guys all know that I've been downsizing my fish tanks, and I've been coming out with videos on tearing fish tanks down, which I know it can't be too much fun because, everyone wants to set up a fish tank. They want to buy that new fish. They want to buy the new fish tank, get all the decoration substrate and that sort of thing, and set everything up and then make a video on it. That's fun to do. It's not fun to tear down a fish tank, and it's not fun to get rid of fish tanks. But I wanted to do it for my personal records because I want the history of it on YouTube. I want to be able to go back to it, if I wanted to look back and see how I did things, how I started and how I finished it, and going through this whole YouTube journey. I want that all to be there for my sake and for you guys' viewing purposes if you guys like that sort of thing. At any rate, I want to give you guys an explanation as to why I'm getting rid of all these fish tanks. And there's a lot of reasons to cover, a lot of bases to cover. And one of the main reasons is I have a lot of things going on in my life right now, and I have to keep that life balance, or as my wife calls it, the seasons of life, to accommodate my hobbies, work, and life schedule, all keep it all intact and all in check. And the reason being is because if you guys don't know, or all the people that have been following me, I have another kid on the way due in October. So that's exciting. I have Alana, who's almost 3 years old, my daughter. She is getting more aware and spending more time with me and enjoying more time with me. So I have to spend more time with her. And it's been a lot of fun. That age has been just a blast, with, her laughing and wanting to spend time with me whenever I'm home and that sort of thing. And then work is also busy too. It always is in the summertime. So we have to make sure to get our priorities all in line for my life in order to accommodate my fish room and my hobbies, my YouTube channel, and everything else. I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of like an in-depth process of also why I'm getting rid of fish tanks. And for anyone else who wants to know about the 220 gallon, it's still in the works. I have the space clear for it now. There's all the room in the world to put my 220 tank there. But my biggest issue has been finding the manpower to be able to move it from one room to another. But this Saturday is what the plan is now, to get that fish tank at least in place. So that way we can move on to the next step to, adding the substrate, the filtration, the decorations, and then moving the fish into that 220. So keep on the lookout still, because I'm still planning on doing that. I'm still planning on coming out with a video for it and doing live streams in front of it. So that's still in the works. So I know it's been a long time. I've had this fish tank since the middle of winter, and I got it at a really good deal, so I couldn't pass it up. I just knew it was going to be a long process to get it into its spot. So my goal is to try to keep about 8 to 9 fish tanks total. I have my main fish tanks are going to be down here in the fish room, and then I have one fish tank upstairs. And I've decided to keep that fish tank on a more personal level, and I probably will not share it on YouTube anymore. I feel like everyone has to have at least one fish tank to themselves if they have a YouTube channel that they don't show, as more of like a personal tank that they like to keep for themselves. And I don't know, that's just something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's just going to stay that way now. I do want all my fish tanks, nothing smaller than a 55 gallon down here. I might keep a 20 gallon long on hand just in case I need something for quarantine, or if I need something for medication for anything that gets sick. But right now it's empty, but it's just going to be around in case I need it for emergencies for whatever reason. On the downside of things is I have not enjoyed the hobby as much as I have been. for probably the last 6 months. And a good part of that has to do with the peacock and hat tank and the majority of the African cichlids. And I know that was a huge thing for me. And it was a great learning experience. And it was phenomenal to start off with the Bunas and see how they, breed their young. They carry the eggs in their mouth, and you can take the eggs out of their mouth and put them in a tumbler, and that sort of process was a whole lot of fun. And one of these fish tanks that I had the main struggle with was my peacock and hap tank upstairs. And it just got to a point where the regression was so bad over the last 6 months or so that every day I would wake up and I would think, I wonder what the next fish was going to be on the hit list, whether it be dead or beat up or sick or stressed out or breathing heavy or anything of that nature, because it got down to a point where things got expensive. I was spending money on medication. I was doing more water changes than usual. I was doing every possible thing to take care of these fish because they're the most expensive. You guys have to think that a male peacock or hap, at an almost full grown age could cost anywhere from 50 to $100 a piece. So I was doing my absolute best to try to make this work because it was a very beautiful tank with very beautiful fish. But it just came down to me losing fish left and right and nothing was working. And then what really hit it for me is losing some of my original fish that I had got when I very first started this tank. And I started losing those fish. I ended up losing a certain fish individually that I really, really liked a lot. I actually went back to the fish store to go get, and it was about an hour drive, and then I ended up losing him as well. So it kind of sucks when you go through this transition of really starting to realize, hey, this isn't worth it for me anymore, because it's actually been more stressful than it is to enjoy. And for me to do this hobby, I need to be able to enjoy it, and I need to be able to take a step back in a sense and start changing things up for myself so I can enjoy this hobby again. And it was just like throwing money away. Like I said, I was using all these different tactics, all these different things to try to take care of these fish. And it was just one after another. And it just got so frustrating that I just didn't want to do it anymore. I've done all the tactics you can think of, between water parameters, changing decorations, um, medicating the fish, adding a new fish, removing the bully, overstocking, understocking. I mean, the list just goes on. I've tried everything and nothing was working for me. So I had to change things up. So unfortunately, that's where I am moving onward from that. And it's devastating for me, because when you spend so much time and energy to do these things to these fish and try to take care of them, then it just gets disappointing, and eventually just that's what has lost the interest for me in the hobby. So I have the Imbunas. I'm going to keep them around for a while. I have other African cichlids that I'm raising up, and then I'm going to continue as they get older and bigger to get rid of them through Facebook Marketplace or to my local fish store. And then we'll see what the future holds for those tanks over there. On a positive note on this, out of the fish that I've gotten rid of between Marketplace and the local fish stores, and especially Marketplace, every person that I have met has been an absolute phenomenal experience for me. I mean, some of the people that I met even brought their families over to see my fish displays, saw my process. I showed them my YouTube videos, and each and every individual that was here and their kids and everyone else has been a pleasure to meet. And they've really appreciated everything that I've done for them. And they've even responded back, a couple weeks later and saying, hey, I either want more fish, or two, hey, my fish are doing really well and I can't thank you enough for it. So between getting rid of these tanks, has actually been a breath of fresh air, because if I can't take the time to take care of them between the tanks and the fish, and I can give them to someone else to enjoy, that makes me feel a lot better for my sake. Another thing that I have stopped doing for a while now is I've stopped the breeding process, mainly because at one point I ran out of room, and I also ran out of time to do it, accommodating my lifestyle. And if anyone who knows anything about breeding, and I want to bring up Mexicali Fish Keeping, Jorge, he brought up a really good point on one of his last videos about changes in his fish room, that in order to have the time to do the breeding process, you have to keep up with the consistency that is required. And that's coming straight from his video that I appreciate him bringing up, because that's exactly right. I mean, you have to be able to have that consistency to be able to breed successfully. And I think that's a very solid point that he brings across. And there's a lot of things that you got to consider, not only just the water changes alone, but feeding them, roughly 2, 3 times a day because they need fed a lot. Then your maintenance on your filtration and stuff, however it may be. And then, you're going to start having multiple tanks, grow out tanks for them to get bigger. And then if you keep breeding, then you got to keep following that process of having extra tanks to either one, keep the fish in their own tank for them to have the fry and take them out the right time, or putting them in egg tumblers. It's just a long process. And I don't have the time, the consistent time to put into the breeding process and to take care of this fry for right now. And the timing is just not at a good spot. So that's another reason why I was downsizing on my fish tanks too, is because of that reason. Now, one thing I do want to point out that you can't say that I was not successful at it. What was not? What? Basically, what I'm trying to say is I know I was successful at doing this because I started a whole operation down here in the basement because of this. And I had breeding tanks, to breed all these different fish. And I had a lot of people that I met that was an absolute blast to meet. A lot of people enjoyed seeing my fish operation down here between the live streams and YouTube videos I've come out with, the people I've met, the local fish stores that have accepted my fish, and it's the whole experience has just been great. So you can't say that I've not been successful at it. I think I said that right. I've learned a lot. It was a very enjoyable experience. The very first time I found out about how African cichlids breed, between the male and female, and they carry the eggs in their mouth and the whole egg tumble thing, it was absolutely amazing. I have no regrets. And at the time when I was doing this, it was just my wife and I. And even then, when we had our first kid, she was pregnant. And then even the very first beginning stages of that, I was still able to do this all myself. So I was able to manage my time a lot better and be able to succeed in that as well. And my wife helps feed the fish down here while I'm gone at work or whatever else is going on. So that's been a big help for me too as well. But it's just a lot for her to take on, especially when we have a new one on the way. So I want to make sure that we keep our life and seasons of life in check, of course, with that. Another thing that I haven't enjoyed 100% fully lately is the overall YouTube experience right now. Just because the fact that, obviously it's busy in the summertime, but mainly it's because it's felt more like a chore for me, just because it's harder to come up with content that's enjoyable, something that already hasn't been done, or coming out with product reviews on stuff that I'm maybe not 100% on board with, but I still do them, even though, they do supply these things for me and it's greatly appreciated, for me from these companies. But it's kind of under a point to where, I don't want this YouTube journey and this hobby to be a chore for me. So, and I felt like that has kind of run a little bit, into more feeling like a chore than actually doing something for it to be fun. And also live streams for me has also been a bit of a challenge for me as well. Now, I have a very interesting work schedule to where it's not the same Monday through Friday job, at the same times and dates. So I can't have a regularly scheduled live stream. It has to be a couple days in advance, or whatever my work schedule is. I have to just basically go by that. And then whatever my life schedule is, it's just, I only get like a couple days to work with in advance before I schedule my live streams. And when it comes to content and stuff, it's been challenging for me to be able to come up with stuff to keep people interested. So that might be something that I need to improve on myself in order to get more viewers. But, and I'm not downing anyone else's channel by any means whenever they go live, because I have noticed an upkeep on other channels that are doing great on their live streams, and I congratulate them. They're doing a great job getting a lot of viewers and a lot of watch hours, and they're growing their YouTube channel, and that's absolutely wonderful. And I'm really happy for that. My channel has not done as well as it has been. So I believe that I kind of feel like I kind of need to take a step back in this and kind of rehash some things and redo some things in the future. So that way I can enjoy the YouTube more, or so I can enjoy the YouTube journey more. I have kind of lost that spark in a sense. And I really, for the most part, don't pay attention to when everybody else does their live streams. There's a few select people that I know do certain live streams on certain times of the day. So I try to avoid those a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I have to do my live streams and my content according to my schedule and my life. So I've tried some different things too to try to reinvent that spark of fish keeping and take a step back, as I said, to really start to focus on something that really got to me to enjoy the hobby, what it started to begin with, and also to enjoy the YouTube content and how I enjoyed that, because it takes a lot of time and energy to be able to do all this sort of thing and keep up with it. And I need to just kind of take a step back for myself to make myself feel better and really reinvent that spark of why I started doing this to begin with, because I feel like I've lost it a little bit and I want to come up with new stuff and different things. Um, as you guys have all seen too, that I did a couple of fishing live streams, and that was fun to do. Even though I didn't have a whole lot of live viewers, it was still getting people that I've never seen before in my live streams or been a while in my live streams. And I'm kind of getting different viewers, like with the behind glass aquarium simulator. I'm doing things a little bit different there too, with that hobby and that sort of thing. So I need to start doing things that I enjoy and figure things out and go from there. So that way I don't drive myself crazy. um, so that's kind of the explanation on that side of things. I do want to point out, however, that when I did this fish keeping hobby, that I never complained once about the work that I had to do for it. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that I never minded to do maintenance. I never minded to do water changes. I never minded to, take out the filters, squeeze the sponge filters out, take out the canister filters, do your maintenance when you're hanging the backs and that sort of thing, clean the glass, take care of the fish and if they're sick and that sort of thing. That stuff, it never felt like a chore to me or work, that was like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting. Um, I actually like doing that sort of stuff. I like getting into things and trying to figure things out and do the maintenance side of that. But it really just all comes down to the consistency of time that I keep going back to that I can't fulfill for my fish room to accommodate my life. So that's kind of like another bullet point of saying this is why I'm getting rid of my fish and my fish tank and downsizing quite a bit. Even like the DIY builds, like the two breeder stands that I made with the 20 and the 10s. Those were a lot of fun. Putting all the central airlines in my fish room, that was a project in itself, and it was a lot of fun. So I never felt like I had to complain anything about the work that was involved. It's just finding the time to be able to do it, and I need to accommodate accordingly to my schedule to make things work for myself. And last but not least, I have decided to move my channel a little bit into the hobby portion as opposed to only fish keeping. Now, does that mean I'm going to stop fish keeping videos and live streams? Of course not. I'm still going to do that sort of thing, but I'm going to try to categorize them in different sections on my YouTube channel. So that way, if someone's like, oh, I don't like video gaming, or I don't like hiking, or I don't like fishing, or, XYZ, I want them to be able to go on my channel and say, oh, well, I'm interested in, this section, or I'm interested in this section sort of thing. Because I really don't want to start all over on a YouTube channel because I've worked a lot to get where I'm at now currently. But you guys are going to see a lot of different things on my YouTube channel of different hobbies. Like, for example, obviously, I'm taking care of aquariums. I have some video games that I do, as well as I've been doing video games for a long time in my life. So you're probably going to see some video game content on my channel. I also have an electronic drum set. For all of you who didn't know, I also play drums as, not real, into drums, but enough to enjoy it, just as a side hobby to be able to play and mess around with a little bit. So you might see some stuff there too. Some outdoor stuff like fishing and anything else that I enjoy is going to be on my channel. So it's going to be more of like a hobby-based channel. I've already made some ideas on new logos. It's not going to change drastically, but I'm still going to keep the price tag name or P tag name, however you guys want to say it. But it's just going to have a little bit of a change on my name, and I'm also going to change my logo to accommodate my hobby channel as a whole. So that's kind of coming in the works and the changing of my channel as well, to kind of get different audiences, get different people in my channel to help enjoy it for the near future, that sort of thing. I hope this all makes sense to you guys. I'm not, like I said, not downing anyone's channel. I'm not trying to beat myself up over this, but it's just an all general purpose of the seasons of life that I'm going through right now, and to accommodate my life schedule to my hobbies, to more work, to my personal life, and everything else. I want to be able to enjoy life to the best possible way and keep thriving on that. And in order for me to do that, some changes had to be made. And if I keep all these fish tanks down here, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the things that I want to enjoy in the future, of the things I've already mentioned. So I just have to, in a nutshell, have to reinvent that spark of really got me to enjoy the fish keeping hobby and this YouTube journey that I started, to kind of to give me the time to be able to work with this channel and with you guys, still hang out with you guys and have fun with it, but at the same time have time to do all my other stuff in life. So, like I said, I hope this makes sense. I hope this kind of clears things up a little bit, and what my channel is going to be doing in the future, because there's a lot of things that I have to take out and then have things replaced back into it. That's going to be able to accommodate my schedule a little bit better for me, so I don't have to spend so much time away from the things that I want to spend time with. It's just like it's just kind of like a big balancing act. So yeah, I hope you guys won't be too disappointed, but at least you guys have some things to look forward to. Stuff in the future like the 220-gallon tank, maybe some more outdoor stuff in the future, and some different odds and ends things that maybe you guys can just check out and see. I mean, some of these video games, if you guys even don't like video games, you can kind of see like the energy side of me, of how much I get into some of this stuff, and it might be kind of fun to see like a different personality of watching me do these games or these different hobbies, or like on the drum set, you're going to see like all these different things that you guys normally don't see. All you guys are used to is just my fish keeping hobby. So I hope that'll be somewhat enjoyable for you guys, but if it's not, then it's fine. I get it, and I understand that people have different likes and dislikes, and I might lose some followers on this YouTube journey and I might gain some. So it's all just going to test the waters a little bit and accommodate my lifestyle and my hobbies to the best possible way that I can try to, and to make it enjoyable for myself and for you guys. But at any rate, thank you so much for watching. I hope I covered all the bases for you guys, and thank you for listening to me sit in front of a camera and talking and do the most difficult thing that new YouTubers and streamers have to do. So that's it. That's me unplugged. And I hope you guys can continue to watch my channel and look forward to new and bright things in the future. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the future.